China this morning announced retaliatory tariffs of 34% on all U.S. goods. Yesterday, the markets suffered their worst day since the start of the pandemic in March 2020. A lot of U.S. industries are also under pressure, including farmers. Weijia Jiang has more on this from near Mar-a-Lago, where the president is spending the weekend. Weijia, good morning.
Good morning, Vlad. Good morning to everybody. President Trump says those spiraling markets were to be expected, and he is not changing course. In fact, Trump says more tariffs are on the way for things like pharmaceuticals and computer chips. But he also left the door open for some deal-making with other countries. As U.S. stocks plummeted, President Trump's optimism soared.
The markets are going to boom, the stock is going to boom, the country is going to boom.
But the world had a different reaction to Trump's tariffs that will soon kick in for most countries.
坚决反对。
Trading partners, including China and the EU, are vowing to retaliate if the tariffs go into effect next week as planned.
Let's be clear-eyed about the immense consequences. The global economy will massively suffer.
Aboard Air Force One on the way to Florida, Trump said tariffs give the U.S. great power to negotiate.
Every country's called us. That's the beauty of what we do. We put ourselves in the driver's seat.
One group watching every move, American farmers.
I've never seen anything like this, and I've been farming for 42 years.
John Boyd Jr. is a fourth-generation farmer in Virginia and president of the National Black Farmers Association. He says the price of corn, wheat, and soybeans controlled by the markets have all tanked.
Other countries are going to start to look for different places to start to buy soybeans and corn and wheat. Brazil is right behind us in production.
President Trump insists that these actions are his way of standing up for farmers and ranchers.
It's not. I think it's a very sad situation that farmers are the ones who have put him in the office, and we are the ones who are taking the hit.
Here's the Secretary of Agriculture's message to them.
This will be a short time of uncertainty.
Boyd fears that uncertainty may be here to stay.
I think it's going to be long-term pain for America's farmers and to buckle up and get ready for the ride.
Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins also said the administration is preparing programs to address potential economic consequences. During Trump's first term, farmers received about $23 billion worth of bailouts after tariffs led to losses for them. Still, even if there is relief, Boyd says many farmers are worried they're going to have to shut down their farms, himself included. Gail.
We all hope that does not happen. Thank you, Weijia, very much. This trade war is also bad news for some American auto workers right now. Stellantis says it is temporarily laying off 900 workers in the Midwest. Now, that's the company behind Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge, and Ram vehicles. Lana Zach has more on this part of the story from Detroit.
This is where I work.
Myra Ziegler-Moore has worked on the line at Stellantis in Michigan for more than 6 years and is a member of the United Auto Workers Union.
I take so much pride in being able to make these vehicles.
She is currently on medical leave and in an earlier round of layoffs learned she would be losing her job at the end of the month.
Thank you.
Tell me what that was like.
It hurt. It hurt. But I have to pay bills. I have to have a place to live. Me especially, my medical, having hip and joint replacements, being a breast cancer survivor.
And now with President Trump's 25% tariff on imported cars and parts in effect, additional layoffs are coming. In a memo to North American employees, Stellantis announced the company is, quote, continuing to assess the medium and long-term effects of these tariffs. The automaker is temporarily laying off 900 employees at 5 U.S. factories in the Midwest as a result of pausing production at some of its Canadian and Mexican plants. The Motor City Sports Bar and Grill is the watering hole for one of those American plants, Warren Stamping. Nearly everyone here works for Stellantis.
Are you worried that these tariffs, even if they were good for the auto industry, that it's going to mean that it's going to cost more when you go to buy things?
Yeah, it's going to affect a lot of the small people.
People are worried.
The fear is they could be bigger.
Yes.
They could last longer.
Always. Anytime you hear layoff, bigger and longer is definitely something that we think of.
And in a statement, the president of the United Auto Workers Union, Shawn Fain, took aim at those cuts, saying that Stellantis continues to play games with workers' lives. Now, you know, he hasn't always been supportive 100% of President Trump, but he is supportive of this tariff plan. He says that it is a step to end what he describes as the free trade disaster. Tony.
Lana Zach in the field for us. Lana, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Let's get a little bit smarter with CBS Money Watch correspondent Kelly O'Grady. Kelly, good to see you here. A lot of scary charts on the front of the Wall Street Journal. Put it in context for me. This big sell-off, what does it mean? Where's it going?
So all the three major indexes, they had their single biggest losses in a day since 2020. So what does that mean? Investors reacted to this as to how they reacted to COVID. And why? Because they think some of the same things that happened during the pandemic could be borne out because of these tariffs. Higher inflation. JP Morgan is projecting a percentage point to 2 percentage point increase in prices, consumer spending slowdown, and then ultimately potentially leading to economic growth slowing down. And I mean, look, nearly all the sectors were down, but really the companies that got hit were the ones that rely on imports. Dollar Tree was down, Apple was down, and if you looked at your 401k, the 7 big tech stocks accounted for nearly $1 trillion of this. Our retirement funds are really invested in those.
Wow. Okay. And it's not going to get any better today, I don't think, depending on that jobs report. All right, Kelly O'Grady for us. Thank you very much. Breaking overnight, we're learning President Trump has fired the head of the National Security Agency, who also leads the U.S. Cyber Command, and several other top officials. It follows a meeting between Trump and a far-right activist. Robert Costa is following this. Bob, good morning. So what's going on here?
Good morning. Overnight, General Timothy Hall, who served just over a year as both the director of the National Security Agency and the head of U.S. Cyber Command, was fired by the Trump administration, according to top Democrats on both the House and Senate Intelligence Committees, and a source who's familiar with the matter. Earlier Thursday, as you recall, we learned about at least 6 National Security Council staffers being fired as well. So what's behind all of these moves? From what we can gather, it follows a visit by controversial commentator and Trump loyalist Laura Loomer to the Oval Office to confide with the president about personnel. And sources tell us that Loomer advocated for these staffing changes across the administration in that meeting, as others who were top officials were present. Lawmakers like Democrat Congressman Jim Hines, who is ranking member of the House Intelligence Committee, they're demanding explanations. And in a statement, Hines said he was, quote, deeply disturbed by this decision. CBS News has reached out to the NSA, and no comment has been given. There has also not been an immediate response from the administration, from inside the White House or the office of the Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth. The key point to understand here is President Trump, I'm told by top sources, is driving decisions now to make sure that all of these hires, even more low-level people inside the National Security Council, inside the intelligence community, that they are seen as loyal to him. And he's not always listening to top officials who have been confirmed by the Senate or those who work in the White House. He's listening to people he trusts on the outside, like Laura Loomer. That's part of the culture of this administration at this moment. Tony?
All right, Bob, thank you. Good to see you. All right.